Disney filed suit against Ron DeSantis yesterday because they say he's just playing games and doesn't have a right to do what he did. And I thoroughly disagree with that. But I don't think people understand what Ron DeSantis did. You know, I think they just see, he got into a fight with Disney and he could lose. And I think it would be very bad for him to lose this.
It's a fascinating political story for sure, because, what's the argument for Ron DeSantis to be president? It's not that he fights with the media. I mean, Donald Trump already fights with the media. And the argument for DeSantis is that he does these things in a more professionalized way, and he scores real victories, where Trump, again, I'm not saying I endorse this argument, but like Trump gets in fights, he's, thinking about himself, he likes the press coverage, but there's no policy win that comes out of that, no real pushback, where the argument with DeSantis is competency, right? The argument is he's running a state, he's winning elections by big margins, and when he enters in one of these big fights, he wins it, and he scores a real policy victory. If he loses this against Disney, there's a huge dent in that idea.
Bad.
And one person who will notice that is named Donald Trump. And he will be pointing this out all the time. He's already started.
Correct.
Now, I don't know that you can say at this point that DeSantis has lost this. The back and forth is still up in the air. Now Disney's suing, but that's going to go on probably through this entire campaign.
So people need to understand what happened. What deal you're even talking about. It's 1964, and somebody is buying up all the land in Florida, just hundreds and hundreds and thousands of acres. And the press is starting to speculate, and they think that it's maybe Ford, McDonnell Douglas, Boeing, or Lockheed. Disney isn't even in the running because Disney was courting St. Louis. And he was serious about making another Disneyland in St. Louis, but because St. Louis is known for brewing companies, and he wouldn't allow beer in the park, he knew that was going to be a sticking point. So he continued to negotiate with them while they decided on Florida. Okay. Now, in St. Louis, he would have built another just Disneyland. But Walt was driven by, he didn't want the theme park. That's not what he was building in Florida. It was called the Florida Project. And he did not want to build the theme park. His brother forced him to build the Magic Kingdom first because he's like, your dream is very expensive and we're going to have to pay for it. So we're selling tickets so you can do the other. And so what Walt wanted was complete rights to the land. Disney World is the closest thing you will ever get to like a Native American reservation where the United States has really nothing to say. Florida has nothing to say. It's as close to its own country as possible. And that's because Disney was selling everybody that he was going to go to San Francisco or to St. Louis, and every state wanted him because they saw what it did to Anaheim and to California. And Disney had said in like 64, when I do this, I will make this the number one destination in the world. So he held all of the cards in 64. So he starts buying things up. Nobody knows. Behind the scenes, he's talking to Governor Burns, I think was his name, in Florida. And he makes all kinds of deals with Florida without anybody knowing it in the press. He had the right to have a nuclear power plant on Disney property. Okay. He had unbelievable rights. All trash he could take care of and take care of all the trash and process because he was going to do all of these experiments to redesign American cities. So he wanted this large scope where he could do just about anything, okay? That's what Ron DeSantis is taking away, okay? Now, Walt died in 65. The governor and Walt Disney and Roy Disney said, hey, Disney Florida project, it's coming to Florida. And it was a big hoopla. But in 66, Walt dies. Walt's the guy who knows what he was planning. He's on his deathbed and he's talking to his brother and he says, please promise me that you will build Epcot. And he said, okay, yes, I will, Walt. But no one understood it. No one understood it. He was truly redesigning cities, the way everything worked, from traffic to housing to paint to everything. When he dies, all that goes away because Roy's like, nobody understood that vision. He only had it. We can't do that. Nobody understood him. He was so far ahead of his time. So he dies a year after this is given, this power. Now, this power allows Disney to be their own police, everything, okay? It gives them, most importantly, it gives them the power of no inspections. So you want to build a ride? There's no delay on that. You don't have to wait for county approval or anything. Disney approves it, okay? And they have that because Walt was so trusted and the brand was so strong and Florida was so desperate. Well, Disney made them the number one destination, but they should not have any of those rights. Imagine being Universal, SeaWorld. All of the hoops and red tape that you have to put up with if you want to build a new ride, all of the inspections, all of the money that goes to the county and the state for all of the license, for everything you have to do. Disney doesn't have to do that. Is that fair at all? First of all, the reason why they have those privileges ended in 1966. They have kept those privileges, and they've been decent stewards of their park and the land, et cetera, but it has become an unfair advantage the minute other parks started to be built around Disney. Now it's a public-private partnership. Now the state has partnered with Disney, and really, they can do anything they want because it's completely unfair competition. So when he's arguing with Disney and Disney starts to get involved in politics, DeSantis, it wasn't something that was like vindictive. It was like, okay, really, you're going to cross into politics. You know what? I think you've gotten too big for your britches. And let me look into you guys. What kind of special deals do you have? DeSantis, I don't know if he even knew about the history of I think it's the Reedy Creek Council. I don't even know if he knew the real history before he started looking into it. This is something that should have been dropped a long time ago if you believe in the free market. But they're suing him and saying that they deserve that, and that's the deal. It was a deal in 1965 for Walt, not Roy, for Walt.
And I think you could argue, look, as a conservative, moving closer to that for all the parks might be a good standard, right? Like not just singling out one.
Correct.
Like giving other parks the rights to be a little bit more innovative and do their own thing as well. Maybe not that entire package they gave Walt, but like I think lowering red tape is a great idea in most of these circumstances. But these other places don't have those rights.
Right. And you can't give, just because Disney, that I know of, hasn't had a lot of people die on the Pirates of the Caribbean, they should still have to go through inspections.
What about the racism of the Splashdown ride?
Well, the Splash Mountain, that's the state not being involved, I'll tell you that right now.
But because I agree with you here, right? I agree that they should not have special rights. But we are kind of kidding ourselves if we think the reason he changed this policy or attempted to change this policy on Disney.
I think he got it through the legislature, didn't he?
He did, but then before the changeover happened, they passed a bunch of ridiculous, for the next 100 years, we get to do whatever we want type of restrictions, right? It's hard to follow this stuff exactly, and everyone's kind of giving their own piece of this. But the bottom line is Ron DeSantis is not doing this because he thinks the special area is unfair on its face. It's because of this additional controversy with the way that they were jumping into politics.
When you have something that is so really great and you know it and others don't really know it and haven't been bringing it up, that's why you just want to play nice.
Yeah, play nice.
You just don't notice me. Don't notice me. And they weren't playing nice and they thought they held all the cards. Well, you don't, because there's been a lot of politicians over the years that have wanted to reverse this. This is not the first time people have talked about it.
Oh, yeah.
This is just the first time they actually got it done. So, it's somebody jumping up, getting in your face and saying, really, I'll crush you. I'll crush you. And the state saying, well, that's interesting. I don't have to crush you. I'm just going to take away all those favors. Because right now, you created the political environment, so I have the support to change that right now. They've been trying for decades, but everybody liked you, and so it could never be changed. But now you've made yourself unlikable, and I'm not holding the dogs at bay. Go ahead. Take it from them.
But because I think every conservative was on board with that, or most of them, right? Saying, yeah, you know what? They stepped in it and they should have to pay a punishment. And he said, I can make them pay a punishment. But then they, right before this changeover, did something to allow themselves to have many of these rights for a very long time in the future. And if his stance was, I will show you my power, and they said it's not going to work on us, and now they're suing, if he can't find a way to present this to the voters as a win, it's going to look bad for him, and it's going to be an anchor on his campaign.
It's going to be bad, but especially because people don't understand how unfair the business practice is of Disney.
Yeah.
And that this is not something new. This has been argued about for a very long time. And so they think, he's just being a bully. No, he's letting they created the situation to where that could pass. And it will be a problem because Donald Trump will make it a huge issue.
He will make sure everybody knows.
Oh, yeah. He'll make that a huge, huge issue.